call the July 24th Jackson County Commission meeting to order. We'll have our roll call.
District 1, Mr. Guthrie. District 2, Mr. Bennell.
Present.
District 3, Ms. Gilbert.
Present.
District 4, Mr. Sips.
Present.
Chairman also present.
Okay, we do have a quorum present this evening. Have our invitation by Mr. Porter and our pledge by Ms. Gilbert.
Father God in heaven, you are the creator of all things, and by your power and by your will, the civil institutions of this world exist. We're thankful for this commission. We're thankful for the chance that we have to meet together to discuss the matters that are involved and important to the county. So God, we're thankful for that. We appreciate your blessings. We pray that you'll continue to watch over us all, guide us and direct us every day. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is approval of the agenda. We have 3 items on the agenda. Are there any changes before we proceed? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make that motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say no. Have no award presentations, no one signed up to speak, no minutes tonight, no old business. The first item of new business is regarding the motion to approve and sign the system level SRO agreement with the county school board. This is something, I think everybody received a copy of this, and Mr. Porter or Chief Deputy, if you, either one, you want to kind of share where we're at or how this came about.
Yeah, Mr. Dukes has been talking to us for several years and asking for how much money it would cost to start an SRO program. And of course, we've given him figures, and he came to us and asked us this year if we could maybe get a retired deputy who wouldn't need benefits to start a program with at least one person, to start with one person. The sheriff's agreed to supply a car and, of course, uniforms, things such as that, gun, all that kind of good stuff. And then he's going to pay for the salary and gas for the SRO. And right now it would be one, and he would rotate, and they wouldn't know which school he's going to be at, except for us and Mr. Dukes. If there's some particular issue, like we had in North Jackson or North Sand last year, or in Woodville, they would be assigned there, and it would help our manpower a whole lot. Because there for a while we had to keep 1 or 2 deputies at those schools for at least a week or better. And he also, agreed that if we have some type of emergency in those areas, with the closest unit, it'd be fine for them to go on and help us with that call. So it's really a win-win situation. We're just hoping that the commission would agree to, handle the salary part, just pay the money and be reimbursed by the school board.
All right, any questions or comments on this?
So we won't be out nothing on this right here. It's gonna be totally reimbursed by the Board of Education. It's just gonna be random throughout the county, is that right, Robert?
Yes.
Yes, my understanding they'll be assigned to schools that do not have, or not within police jurisdiction. And that's just my understanding, I'm not sure that's right.
Well, obviously all county schools are county schools, so we probably will go to all the, at least high schools throughout the county at some point in time. Obviously, it's not going to go from St. Rock Valley to Bryant on the same day. You're probably going to hit those schools up in that area and hit a few schools each day, that type of thing.
Any other questions or comments? All right, is there a motion to approve the agreement?
Make that motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? I think this is a great way to do it, and I think it's participation from both the sheriff's department and the school, obviously, so we're working together to make this happen. So it's great for our students throughout the county.
And the hope is at some point we'll be able to add to the program.
We appreciate what the sheriff's department's doing, appreciate seeing the school system take this step as well. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. Okay, next item, motion to approve the department head recommendation for the vacant temporary labor position with Public Works. You have the recommendations. We have 3 vacancies, and you have the letter in your packet. These were interviewed, I think, last week. Is that correct, Mr. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to add to the letter?
No, sir. If there are any questions about the candidates there, there's one name that you may recognize. I'll be happy to elaborate on any of that.
Any questions or comments at this time? Okay,
With that particular one, are you settled with that and everything's understood this time?
Yes, ma'am. He served that candidate served a term as a temporary employee and then was selected to be an HMT1, and the reason he was separated from service was the failure to obtain a CDL. But as far as the work that was provided when that person was there, all that was satisfactory. But we have a clear understanding, and I think there's some circumstances changed on that individual's end too that will help manage.
Just get us all 6 of our temporaries.
Yes, sir. This will fill our remaining 3 vacant positions for temporaries, and we still have a vacant HMT1 that we'll be advertising. It opened today or tomorrow. It will be advertised.
And the engineering assistant position as well, correct?
EA1 just started advertising this week. Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion to approve the recommendation.
Make that motion.
Motion and a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Next item's motion to approve and sign agreement with Charter Oak for the 2018 SHIP program. This is again something that we do every year. We'll actually be moving into some more agreements, I think, next week. Hopefully someone will be here to present some information to us about additional programs and contracts. This is a very small program that we work with. Works with insurance and benefits and counseling program for that basically. But again, it's a very small program. And Bob, do you have any notes from our budget meeting on this program?
No, it is a very small one of the items. And very, very small as far as the amount of dollars we receive or expend toward that. Just a very small program.
And it does, as you see on the last page, some of the performance measures, there is an expectation to reach several. So even with such a small amount that gets put into it, it does reach several folks. And this is, again, this agreement will be, we will receive those dollars to have this program in place. And I think we stay within the budget on this, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of a break, just a breakout.
Break even. So any questions or comments on this? If possible, we'd like to move forward with this tonight. I know that we did not have that at the last meeting. I'm hoping that, again, next week we'll have the other contracts before the meeting so that they can be further reviewed. Mr. Porter, you have any questions or comments?
I really don't have any questions or comments. It's pretty self-explanatory.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the agreement?
Make that motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. That concludes the items on our meeting agenda. We've got a couple pieces of paper in your packets that we will discuss at a budget meeting next week. I just want to make sure everybody had this, though, to be prepared for the upcoming budget meeting. That's regarding the circuit clerk's request for funding. So with that, we'll move on to reports. Chief Deputy, you have anything?
No.
Mr. Porter?
I don't think.
Mr. Manning?
No, sir.
Mr. Campbell? Senor Campbell?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Venable?
No, sir.
Mr. Sisk? Ms. Gilbert?
No, sir.
That concludes our items. We do have a budget meeting, as has been announced, a budget meeting this Wednesday at 2:30 and another budget meeting next Thursday at 2:30. We'll be going over the entire budget to review what we did for the departments, each of the departments previously. And just looking at the overview and making some decisions on some of those things. So, with that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Am I missing anything? No? Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.